So, here we are, December 27th. My Lord, my, how time flies, as they say. Well, that's the top of the roof I'm under. There we go. So, uh, the weather here, although I can't complain, I want people to say prayers for the folks in Buffalo. I cannot believe, they said, I don't know if it was just Western New York, there were 27 people reported dead. I mean, that's a horrendous snowstorm. And, you know, Buffalo is known for those whiteouts and that type of weather. Tina Wright, hello, how are you? They're known for those whiteouts, and they call them squalls. And they'll probably laugh at the way I say it. They say squall. I say squall with my New York accent, but it's not funny. The weather they get there is super severe. And some of the other, and BB2, hi Supreme Commander, hope you had a wonderful Christmas. I did. My sons and my wife are still here with me in Jupiter, Florida. We're actually all going to be returning Thursday or Friday, depending who you ask. I'm going back to New York on Thursday. And I've been here for, gosh, a little more than 2 months. So I have to return, and then I'll come back sometime, hopefully mid-January, because I'm not missing the New York weather right now, or the Northeast weather. So did everyone have a good Christmas with loved ones? Did everyone get what they wanted from Santa? I hope so. Army Mom, hello guys. Matty Boy Sully, Dawn Marie. Dawn Marie, thank you so much for what you do. Dawn Marie's one of the best mods for me and Duty Ron, actually. She does a fantastic job. Jerry Ann, hi Bill, beautiful background. Yeah, you can actually see I got the palm trees behind me, right? S.E. Gittins, good Christmas, Sergeant Bill. Yeah, it was great. No sound. Anyone else has no sound? I thought my sound was okay. You guys, let me know if you have sound. If you don't, I don't know what I'm going to do, but you guys hearing me? Sound in now, okay. You know, sometimes it cuts out, sometimes, and the Wi-Fi out here in this parking lot actually is pretty damn good. Cherry Hill, hello, New Mexico is finally warming up, thank God. Michela Pranzo, sound good, just heading out, we'll be listening. Good, Michela, I hope you guys had a great Christmas. Army Mom, Kim Alliston, Sergeant Bill, sound is very low. I don't know why that is. Let me see if there's any way. I thought I turned it up. How is it now? I turned it up a little bit. I'm hoping you guys can hear me. Do I have to say that I had a good Christmas? Yes, you do. I like to hear that all our friends, all our fans, all our subscribers had a good, great Christmas with family and friends. Careful, Bill, you may look suspicious in the parking lot. I guess I could, you know, but when they see this gimbal and me talking to my subs, my fans, my police off the Cuff Nation, this isn't Backyard Beverage or Bitchin' with Bill here or Coffee with Canada. I can still call it that, even though I'm in a different locale, you know, different location. So, yeah, I mean, I just read and I hear about all the crazy weather across the country, and people have been texting me and letting me know on the show that the weather and the temperatures in the area they live in, there's been some -13s, -2, 10 degrees, 12 degrees, you know, I think in New York it was 2 degrees, and I was like, wow, I don't miss those temperatures, you know. Dawn Marie, it's getting beautiful out now, Bill. You know, Jupiter's supposed to get warmer this afternoon, and actually, late afternoon, we're supposed to go on a boat ride, so my wife has to plan activities, you know. I'm all right with not doing it, but she's telling to my sons, oh, we're 27 and 30, we're going to take a boat ride. So I'm going to go with them, and hopefully the water will be calm, but we're going for a little boat ride. Matty Boy Sully, good to see you, buddy. So guys, it's just 27 days of December we're into, and 13 days or 17 days of November. So that gives us what? 44 days, is it? No, it's more than that. 44 days that this case has been open. And I'm of course referring to the Idaho quadruple murders of the 4 students. You know, and everyone is, I don't know, everyone is impatient. Everyone is impatient. Nanny Julie is 27 here in Saratoga County. So people are like sort of making up things. Did you read the one about the YouTuber who accused the professor at Idaho University of being the killer? And the professor's suing. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you don't want to see happening out there. And that, you know, that is what makes the whole content creators and the whole internet suspect, you know, and just it cloudies this case up, you know. Native New York chick, how are you? Cherry Hill, we're back in the 60s. I can live with that. That's cool. 111 people in the chat, 42 with the thumbs up. I did a show on Christmas night. It was pretty late, 10:15. I had to wait till my wife and sons went to bed because where we're staying, there's no place to hide downstairs where I have my setup. So they went to bed, and I did a show at 10:15. And what I started with was the fact that the family, Steve Consalves, is hiring a private investigator. And the private investigator was on that Law and Order channel, and he was talking about how everything about hiring a private eye is a good thing for this case. And I find that that's ridiculous. I don't think it's a good thing. I think that if you ever worked in law enforcement, you know, and you're an investigator, you know that law enforcement, almost to a one, will not share information with private investigators. So it's not like the private investigator in this quadruple murder is going to be working on the case. In my opinion, he will be getting in the way of the case. You know, he's not going to be solving this case. He's going to be talking to the same witnesses, the same people that the detectives spoke to. So how is that helpful? Won't that cloud up the investigation? Won't that confuse people? And the private investigator's argument was that, oh, people that are afraid of the police and won't speak to the police will speak to us. I don't find that to be true. I've never found that to be true. I know when anyone came up to the 2-3 detective squad and introduced himself as a PI, you could feel the temperature drop. And you could see the detectives were totally on their guard, totally would not share any information. And Cecil Clanton, the wind is loud. Yeah, I have my microphone right on my shirt, so I have a wind blocker, so it's not a whole lot I can do. If it gets too bad, I can go back inside my car. If you guys say the wind is too bad. But for right now, I'm going to stay out here because it's beautiful outside. The temperature is actually starting to go up a little bit, which is a great thing. Jerry N, good to see you. 143 in the chat, 69 with the thumbs up. Boxing MMA, hey buddy, Dawn Marie, hope you and the family had a good Christmas. Army Mom, good to see all you guys. You know, it's a little bit early, I guess 12 noonish, which can be real early in some parts of the world and later in other parts of the world, but it's great to have all you folks from wherever you are join me in Coffee with Cannon backyard. The new video is still out. Yes, I did it on Christmas night, the 25th, and I think it was titled "Do the Moscow Police Need Assistance with This Investigation?" And BB2, thank you so much for $40 super chat. Congrats on over 40,000 subscribers. Onward to 150. Look, I'm going to work really hard in 2023, and I'm going to try. Look, a sign that you're doing well and a sign that people like you is increased subscribers. So, and BB2, thank you so much. So it's not just like a greed thing. Oh, I got to make money at it. Which, you know, I put probably 8 to 10 hours a day in on most days working on this podcast. So it's not something you just show up and become a talking head immediately. You have to do your research. You have to know what you're talking about. And so, you know, it is a labor, but a labor of love. I do love doing it. And it's funny how it started out. It's starting out, and some of you guys ask questions about it. I started doing this podcast like about 3 years ago with Mark DeMeo, who's a stand-up comic. And at the time, I was doing stand-up comedy too. However, after about a year, it was clear that we weren't a perfect match together. So I told him that I was going to go off on my own on the same channel, and I was going to do true crime stories. And it didn't take off immediately. I had a lot of help. I had Duty Ron help me to basically show me the ins and outs of YouTube. And now it's starting to slowly grow, but it's growing, and I'm so happy and pleased with that. I think my wife and sons think I'm crazy because I'm very much committed to this, but I basically have a what I would call a type A personality that once I really get into something, I give it my all, you know. So it's something that I love to do, and I want, without you guys, there wouldn't be a police off the cuff real crime stories. And a lot of you guys that came over from Duty Ron, I thank him and I thank you for giving me a chance. And I'm hoping for great things in 2023, and we'll see. You reap what you sow, as they say in the Bible, right? You reap what, not that I'm a Bible guy, but I know a few quotes from the Bible, but not a lot. I'm not the guy sitting under a palm tree reading the Bible. S.E. Gittins, it's my privilege. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. And you guys can see the sun is starting to come out. How amazing is that the sun is starting to come out? Diane B., we love you, Sergeant Bill. Thank you so much, Diane. It's great to be appreciated. Great to be loved, as they say. Those guys last night had me cracking up. You're talking about Mark DeMeo and Angel Masonette. Good. I'm glad you like their show. Boxing MMA. Good to see you, buddy. 177 in the chat, 95 with the thumbs up. Thank you guys for joining me on this Tuesday early afternoon, morning. You know, coffee with Cannon. I can't think this. I call this show so many different things. I can't think of the names. You know, backyard beverage, bitching with Bill. Brandy H, good to see you. You know, this Idaho case is so. I mean, to really understand it, you really need to be on the inside, because we can conjecture. Catherine Mooney, hello, Catherine. Bill, have you seen the new Corner Club footage pic? I have not, Jerry. I'll take a look at it after the broadcast. Dawn Marie, we need a trip to the Maldives. Beaching with Bill. You know, there's been so many really expert people coming on different podcasts, some of them really excellent. And it's, you know, predicting the behavioral analysis people from the FBI. I enjoy listening to them, I really do, because I think that a lot of what they say, if 20% of it or 30% of it comes out to be true, then they made a semi-good prediction. One of the things, blabbing with Bill, Catherine Mooney, I don't think I'd call it that, but if you want to call it that, that's fine. I think that, you know, what most of us agree with is that this killer, this animal, is a male. I have no doubt that this person is a male. I believe that he acted alone. I believe potentially this could be his first time. And what I believe is from the town. I believe he's from Muscat. And that's my opinion, but my opinion is worth as much as anyone else out there, and so is yours. You know, you get a gut feeling of who this guy is, what this guy is, and why, the why. You know, we always talk about, there's an acronym for homicide, and it's MOD, motive, opportunity, and desire. What is the motive for this case? And most of us agree that the motive is extreme rage. He was enraged at something. What enraged this guy so much that he went to a house and slaughtered 4 innocent people? Nick, obsession with one of the girls. Nick, I think that could be it. I really do. Obsession with one or more than one. And I agree with you. I agree. Dawn, you think they're getting close, Bill, to finding who did this? I don't think they are close right now. Unfortunately, I wish I could say they were. And I don't have any inside information you would think I have. I don't. I think they're still, unfortunately, still not close to having a suspect in this case. It's just the feeling I get. The Moscow police are still asking to send in tips, to send in video. That's an indication to me that they're not close. And I hope I'm wrong. But these are some of the feelings I get on whether they're close enough. And the feeling I get is that they're not. Catherine Mooney, don't even flirt with them. You never know. Well, look, you can't live your life like that. Hi, guys. I was trying to read some of the chat. Sometimes I'm focusing on it and it goes by so fast. Charlotte, yeah, she had written something and the chat went by so quickly. This was planned. This wasn't a spur of the moment thing. And when we talk, they spoke about very early on in this investigation that this was targeted and personal. Remember those terms? It was targeted and personal. And that's the thing that they know that none of us know. Who was targeted? They're not telling us, right? So one of the girls was targeted. That's what we feel. And Kim Allison, Nick, I believe the same thing, that it was an obsession with one of the girls. I think that that's pretty damn accurate, Ashley Banfield had an FBI agent. There's so many of them, I can't remember all the names of them. And one of the things that we notice in serial killers, and I'm not thinking that this is a serial killer, is that they sometimes come back to the scene of the crime to relive, and mass killers, to relive the thrill of the murder. And could that potentially be happening with this? And the Moscow police don't have a 24/7 police officer on the crime scene. I believe they have a security guard. And what this FBI agent was suggesting was that they put up video cameras. Absolutely. Remember they had video cameras up during the Brian Laundrie case? And that turned out to be a disaster because no one was monitoring them. And Brian Laundrie, I'll talk about the Gabby Petito case. Brian Laundrie, who murdered Gabby Petito, he was able to leave that house because the police there went cheap, meaning they didn't put a police officer on the house 24/7, and Brian Laundrie was able to sneak out of the house. I don't even think anyone was monitoring the cameras. So that's amateur police work, and that's what that is also indicative of, is that the municipality covering the crime doesn't want to spend the money, but doesn't have the money. I mean, you heard them complaining all the time in the Gabby Petito case how much money they were spending on that investigation. And these small municipalities. Debbie Johnson, I know where you at. I'm in. This is actually the Juno Beach parking lot. It's right next to Jupiter, and I'm sitting in the parking lot. The wind is affecting the sound. You guys, put a 1 in the chat if you want me to go inside the car, because I could totally get rid of the sound and the wind, if you would like that. But if it's not horrible, I'll stay out here. I see a lot of you people putting the 1 in the chat, so I'm gonna head inside the car. It must be a little bit bothersome, or a lot bit bothersome. So I'm gonna head back. I'm gonna head inside the car and broadcast from there because the wind, and the willow, and the piper at the gates of dawn. The wind and the willow, and the piper at the gates of dawn. That's a Van Morrison tune. I don't remember the whole tune, but yeah, it is pretty. But if the wind is that severe and it's bothering you, I'm gonna go inside the car and let me just throw my bag over there, and we'll get inside the car. And there we go, guys. Is that better? Now, no more wind. The summer wind came blowing in from across the sea and tickled there to touch your hair and walk with me. All summer long we sang a song and we walked that golden sand. My simple friend, oh, the summer wind. It's better? Okay. I know the scenery is not the same inside the car, but if it was that, Jersey Devil, hello, Diane B, S.E. Gittens, Kim Allison, of course, our great friend Kim Allison, hoping for a great 2023 for Kim. Sonia Boone, now I get to hear that beautiful song. Heather Whatever, good song. Dawn, it started snowing. You know, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to go home. I'm going home on the 29th, which is Thursday. And I'm going to go home to some horrendous cold weather. But, you know, it's okay. And I'm going to stay home for a couple of weeks. And then I'm going to come back here. And I hope when I come back here, the weather's nice. But, you look, I'm not complaining, you know. Poor me, staying in Jupiter, Florida. Ooh, I'm so horrible to be staying in Jupiter, Florida. Diane B, no, Sergeant, it's supposed to be 54 next week. Wow, amazing. Like the temperature, the fluctuations in the temperature is unbelievable. I mean, just think of like how, you know, Buffalo, not only did they get hit, and I believe I read that 27 people died, but they got hit with another foot of snow today, it was, I think, or yesterday. I mean, crazy. So let's get back to the Moscow case. Look, all the investigative help I think that the Moscow police can get, they need and they can use. Except I'm not a proponent of using private investigators. You know, it would be a different story if some excellent homicide investigators from police departments across the United States volunteered their time and they were somehow sworn that they would keep the information secret, because you can't trust private eyes to do that. Eve G, thank you so much for the $13.99 super. Thank you for your wonderful perspective. Enjoy your channel very much. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. Patricia Burns, I was watching some footage from Lake Erie. It looked very scary. You know, they get something in Buffalo called the lake effect, and that snow comes off the lake, and that's why Buffalo is so horrific weather there. You know, I told you guys, I love Buffalo. I went to Buffalo State College for my undergraduate degree, and Buffalo people are special. They're very special people. And I guess in a way they have to be, because they have that spirit of cooperation and they help each other because they have to. That weather is no joke, you know? And it's funny, Michael Geary, good morning, Billy, the family hiring private investigator. I don't think Mike agrees with it either. The great Professor Michael Geary, retired NYPD sergeant, law degree, smart guy, very intelligent guy. He was giving me some of his opinion on this case. 285 in the chat, 149 with the thumbs up, guys. It's 2022 was a rough year for a lot of people, right? Phil Grimaldi is in the chat. Hey Bill, you look cold today. Phil, it's starting to warm up here. It's starting to warm up. In fact, my wife booked a boat ride late in the afternoon, so I hope it's warm then, or we're gonna be cold. Poker 26 NYPD would have had this solved by now. I know, look, I can't say that for sure. I know the NYPD has some of the best investigators in the world. The NYPD champions their detectives as the greatest detectives in the world. Whether that's true or not, they do an unbelievable job day to day, you know. Jerry Ann couldn't agree with my years at Cornell. Cornell in Ithaca, the Finger Lakes, right? Cornell has one of the most beautiful campuses I've ever been on. Just gorgeous. And another one that was amazingly beautiful was Wake Forest. Oh my God, Wake Forest was incredible. And my sons both went to Elon University in North Carolina. I'm giving these guys free commercials. That was incredibly beautiful. When I went to Elon to drop my kids off, I felt like, wow, I wish I was 18 again and could start college. They're going to get a 4-year vacation here. All they have to do is do their schoolwork. And they did. They both graduated on time, and it's so great. Gene Panic, good to see you. Marina Vacos. Kim Allison, how you Detective wish you and your family a blessed New Year. So love being part of Police Off the Cuff family. Jerry N. John R. Bear, Nikki Bella, counting out and shouting out. Hey, Bill, I'm having lunch at Duffy's in Jupiter today. Ray Kelly, good for you. I've seen Duffy's. I've never been in Duffy's. I've passed by. But I forget, we're going to dinner somewhere tonight. If I told you how much I spent on dinners since my sons have been here, I don't begrudge it. It's a wonderful thing, spending time with your family. And Dad picks up the check, you know, and I just stare at my sons like, guys, what's going on here? As they order a $82 bottle of wine, you know. Actually, they didn't order it. I ordered it for them. But I don't care. This is a special time of year. It's a time you want to be with your friends and your family, and I don't push pennies at that time. I want to have a great time. Heather, whatever, that's a laugh. You know, you ever go out to dinner with someone who does a double pump to the pocket, but it's like a fake? As you pull out tell you the truth, I have very generous friends, and I've had people that they walk in and they hand their credit card to the waiter, and I don't even know they did it. So I've been the recipient of much generosity. Dreams 1997, class of 20, Wake Forest, 20, good for you. Wake Forest is a fantastic school. I hope you got a scholarship because that school is big, big bucks. Both my friends were professors at Wake Forest University in the medical school. In fact, one of them was the head of the MRI center for many years. The guy's like a genius. And his wife is a radiological oncologist. And they just recently retired in the last year. Great area, Wake Forest, amazing, amazing university. So guys, let's get back to the Idaho thing. So I was on Banfield, and another FBI agent, I wish I would know his name. I didn't bring my pad with my notes on it. But Ashley Banfield wanted to know, is there a possibility that the perpetrator will go back to the scene of the crime? Yes, there is a possibility, but how would you identify the guy? How would you know? You think he's going to exhibit behavior that gives a heads up to the investigators? Is there a possibility that the perpetrator took a souvenir from the scene, took an article of clothing, took something from the house? We have no doubt, folks that have investigated these type of crimes before, that, and not just that. I shouldn't have framed it like that. I think all of us believe that this perpetrator had been in that house before. He showed signs of familiarity. A lot of people point out to the fact that the dog must have known the killer. The dog didn't bark, as far as we know, and go crazy. Mike Anthony, I think it's either the ex-boyfriend of Kaylee, a neighbor, or a frat guy. You know, we can't point fingers at specific people, you know, minus evidence. And that's what a lot of people, on YouTube, some content creators, are doing, because they're putting the lives of people in danger by pointing fingers without any evidence, you know? So the police can't do that. So why should content creators do that? You know, I don't think they should do that. I think they really need to wait until there's evidence, you know? I heard someone on another YouTube channel quote me, and the person was using the word surreptitiously, of all things, and I made a made a big deal out of surreptitious because I said I learned that word in college, you know, because it's I used to teach that to my students when I taught college. I'd say surreptitiously. They were like, "What does that mean, professor?" And I would say it means on the DL, on the down low. So they understood that. So when I would ever ask them what the meaning was of surreptitiously, they would say, "On the down low, professor." And I got a big kick out of it. I thought it was funny, and you know, something, kill me if you don't think that's funny. But I think when you teach college or teach any level, you have to have humor. If you don't have humor, and maybe I used too much humor, some kids loved that I used a lot of humor in my teaching, and some were like, "Professor, you play too much," you know, and I was like, okay, I'll pull it back a little bit for those that think that. But I think that using humor in everyday things, and teaching's one of them. That it's a good tool. I think to make learning fun, and to make learning personal. I think you have to use humor. You know, Jersey Devil, John R. Bear, must have humor, must need humor. College is tough as it is. Yeah, and if you know if you teach and it's dry, the students they're not gonna like it. They're not gonna be a truth seeker surreptitiously love it. Yeah, on the down low or stealthily. Stealthily was another word. You use stealth. What is that? Surreptitiously. What's surreptitiously? On the down low. That's how I taught my lessons. You know, I used a mixture of real Webster's dictionary words and street slang, and yeah, it gets you through life, Jerry Ann. That's for sure. Heather, whatever. I remember it better if laughter is there too. Sergeant Bill, not Bilk. Sergeant Bill. So, guys, this case, this Idaho case, we're all praying. We're all praying that they have the resources. You know, we haven't been privy to learning about the medical examiner information, the toxicology. All of those things potentially could be the smoking gun, at least the forensic evidence. And not to repeat myself a million times, but there's a lot the necessity of repeating a lot of stuff within this case. And one of those things is I spoke to Ed Wallace. I appeared for a little bleep on Duty Ron's show last week when he had Barbara Butcher and Ed Wallace on, and I said to both of them, what do you think is the chance, you know, statistically, that the perpetrator's DNA is in this crime scene? And you know what they said? They both said they believe it's a 99% chance. So it's just recovering the DNA and identifying the DNA. Because we also mentioned very early on, and I like to remind you because that's how you learn stuff, we mentioned early on that there's a distinct possibility that this perpetrator's DNA is not in CODIS. And again, I'll remember everyone what CODIS is. It's the Combined DNA Index System, which is run by the FBI. And in that CODIS system, there are two categories of DNA. The first is offender DNA. And that's DNA of folks who have been arrested for a felony and certain misdemeanors and had DNA taken from them just based on the fact that they had been arrested. Then there's what's known as forensic DNA. And the DNA from this crime scene right now is forensic DNA because it's unidentified DNA. And we're attempting to identify it. Many things can be told about the offender from the DNA minus who the person is. It can tell the person's race. It can tell the person's basically height and weight. It can tell his hair type, his hair color. Many of those things can be told from recovering the DNA without specifically identifying the person. That's why I'm also wondering if it would make sense at this juncture, and I think it totally makes sense, and Barbara Butcher jumped all over this, but I don't know if it's in fact occurring, to put a genealogist, a forensic genealogist on this case. And we've been hearing a lot about that because genealogists have, in the last few years, identified serial killers from cases that had been unsolved for lots of years. And I know this young forensic genealogist. His name is Eric Schubert. And he's actually an undergrad. And the kid is so unbelievable. I've had him on my show once. And I asked him to come on the show specifically for this case. And for some reason, he declined at this point. So I would love to get him on the show because he's so knowledgeable. And I can't explain what these genealogists do. It's very complicated. Patricia Burns, has the profile of the suspect not been released? It has not been released. It has, because I don't know. I may be talking out of school. I don't know if they have an unidentified DNA sample from the crime scene that they're considering to be the perpetrator. I don't know that. But Barbara Butcher and Ed Wallace say that they believe there's like a 99% chance that the perpetrator's DNA is in this crime scene. So, Kevin Kettner, GED match, Sarge. Kevin, I'm not that familiar with that, so I'm not exactly sure what you're speaking of. I freely admit I'm not an expert in all areas of this. Look, there's the crime scene experts, there's the genetic genealogist, there's pathologist. I'm clearly not an expert in any of those fields. I have an understanding of it, but in no way am I an expert in that. So I need these folks, and this investigation needs these folks to explain what they're looking at. Mike Anthony, I wonder what the odds are the killers waiting inside the home versus breaking in when they were asleep, getting ready to sleep. I believe there's a potential of that. He could have been. There's no possibility, unless it's been proven or disproven, of anything that you say or anyone conjecturing on this case is saying, unless we have Truth Seeker. The DNA profile tells such an in-depth story, so fascinating. It certainly is. And do you know that the DNA work done on 9/11 to identify those almost 3,000 bodies, that DNA work was able to advance DNA technology 3 generations. So that work sped up the science of DNA 3 generations. That was right out of the mouth of Barbara Butcher, who was in charge of the DNA during 9/11. So out of her mouth, the science of DNA was advanced 3 generations. I find that amazing. And how many more people have been identified? How many more crimes have been solved because of DNA technology? It's incredible. And we're hoping, Phil and I said early on in this investigation that if this case is to be solved, it's going to be solved by science. I always speak about investigation as being an art and a science. An art is the police work, an interview, interrogation, hunches, instincts, shaking the tree. And that's, again, another expression that comes out of NYPD, shaking the tree, doing police work, getting someone that knows something that may be in trouble, that wants to trade, going to jail for the information they have. That's shaking a tree. That's part of police work. And I believe that is so, so important. And that could be the part in Moscow that they don't really understand that well, because there's not a lot of serious crime in Moscow, Idaho. Moscow, that word for some reason I struggle with, because I know it's not Moscow like Russia's, it's Moscow. And some reason I struggle with it. 371 in the chat, 226 thumbs up. This is Coffee with Cannon, backyard beverage. As you can see, I'm in my car because the wind was way too strong and you guys were complaining about the wind. So I went inside the car and I'll finish the show inside the car. So, one of the things also, this case is fascinating, even though when we think about the horrificness of two 20-year-olds and two 21-year-olds losing their life over what we don't know what the motive was right now. We can conjecture, but to lose their life over this is just so horrific. And we think, especially during these holiday times, we think of the families, we think of the friends, we think of the Moscow, Idaho community, and how this has turned their community upside down. Not in a good way, I know that they'll probably all be saying one day, oh, we want our lives back, the corner, someone's referring to, did I see the photo of the girls coming out of the corner club bar? I haven't specifically. I've heard that the bar mentioned. And look, everything that we find out at this juncture and have found out, it turns out that the police had known about it already, and they just had never released it. Did law enforcement contaminate the scene when they took out the students' belongings? Absolutely. Absolutely, they did. And that's why many of us said that should not have occurred. All right. I don't want to dwell on it, but no, they should not have returned the belongings to the families at that early juncture. Yes, it does contaminate the crime scene. If they released the crime scene, though, and said we no longer need this crime scene, that's a different thing. Kevin Kettner, I'll watch replay, so I have to run to court. Have a great day. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for stopping by. Jerry Ann, yes, go look at the bill. Very interesting. I will do that. So one of the things that we were hoping for is that as time moves on, that the police will release more and more investigative information. So we'll understand what they're looking at, where the investigation is, because right now, a lot of it's conjecture. A lot of it is prediction, and there's been some great, don't get me wrong, there's been some great talking heads. Phil Grimaldi agrees with me. See, great minds think alike, that they should have preserved that house. I don't see why there was a rush to release the property of the students, especially if they could have explained to the parents, this will contaminate the crime scene. We're going to hold on to this for a while, and this is the reason why. If that could have been explained to the families a little bit better, perhaps there would not have been a rush to hand back the personal belongings of the four victims. Beverly lawyer Jeffrey McDonald, North Carolina, left crime house years. Wonder if still left. Are you referring to Jeffrey McDonald, who was the Green Beret that was charged with and convicted with killing his wife and his family? Is that who you're referring to? That Jeffrey McDonald? Autistic driver 42, God be with them, 100%. We pray for the students. Diane B., I totally don't think the family asked for all their stuff. I think it was a sign of goodwill by the Moscow police to the families, but there's a price to pay for that. Don't forget, when they make an arrest on this case, every single bit of evidence and video is going to be watched by a defense attorney, whoever that may be. And all of those things make the country, make the case much more difficult, because an attorney's job is to create doubt. And based on people unidentified walking inside the crime scene, based on the police department, the chief included, going in the crime scene and removing boxes of the property of the deceased, that's all being recorded. And at some point when they do make an arrest, and guys, I'm going to be totally optimistic. I think there will be an arrest in this case. I absolutely believe that. When? I can't say when. I don't have a crystal ball. But I believe that there's going to be an arrest in this case. Jersey Devil, do I believe that the killer committed suicide? No, I do not. I think to do this, he needed a special personality. And he's probably a narcissist, a selfish person, and maybe be missing what a lot of people that do horrific crimes, an ego. You know how you have a conscience? Was that the superego? A superego, so has no conscience, that just doesn't think of this as anything that was so bad, you know. And I think he's probably living among the townspeople in Moscow. And that's the scary thing, you know. And that's why the people of that community, they have reason to be scared. Yeah, this killer potentially could be among us. And, you know, I don't see how Jimmy May, revenge or jealous rage seems to be the motive. Yes, I agree. An arrest will occur. Yeah, I think that, look, we've spoke upon the fact that the Moscow police are very inexperienced relative to homicide. And that's a fact. There's no denying that. But they have the FBI. They have the Idaho State Police with them to help them with this case. And with all of that help and with all the resources they have, we believe that they can still have a successful conclusion and make an arrest in this case. And I can never ever predict when or where, but we believe that there will be an arrest in this case. I absolutely 100% believe that. I don't think it'll be too long before there is an arrest. Nanny, Julie, good. I'm glad you guys are giving positive vibes and agreeing with me. 384 in the chat, 256 with the thumbs up. Isn't that great? Coffee with Cannon, I'm getting 385 people in the chat. People, friends, subscribers. And guys, if you're not subscribed, go on our YouTube. It's free. Hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and ring that bell. If you want to contribute to us, we have a Patreon with 3 different levels, and we also have a Charlene Schaffner, good to see you too. Poker 26. We also have a YouTube channel memberships. Juan Medina, do I think that the killer will commit another murder if not caught soon? Look, I can't predict that, but the potential is always there. The killer in this case is known as a mass killer. If he commits another murder, he'll be known as a serial killer. Serial killers, I think the FBI definition is 2 or more murders with time in between the crimes. So yeah, very potentially, and I'm not going to predict. Kim Allison, Sergeant Bill, well deserved. Everyone loves your person. Thank you so much, Kim. Very much appreciated. So guys, I can't predict something like that. Is there a possibility? There's always a possibility of things like that, but I would not predict something like that, because, you know, someone could use that, say, oh, Sergeant Bill from Police Off the Cuff predicts the guy's going to kill again. I can't say that. And it would be a horrendous thing to predict. I can only say, does the possibility exist that could occur? Yeah. And I always say to all you guys, the possibility exists that all your predictions, all the things that you believe happened, could. You know, there's no one on this case that has a crystal ball. Phil Grimaldi says, I'll bet the murder has killed already animals before and maybe humans. You know, there's always a potential of any of those things. Guys, I'm at 50 minutes. I usually don't like to go past this. I want to thank everyone for watching today. Coffee with Cannon, Backyard Beverage, Bitchin' with Bill, Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day. God bless, and have a happy New Year. And stay warm.